come dressed for the occasion, everybody. You're looking real good. Jack Yates, are you in the house? Jack Yates, are you in the house? How exciting it is to give honor where honor is due, to be able to continue the legacy of Jack Yates basketball, to honor both the team of 2009-2010, to acknowledge Coach Greg Wise for his great leadership, his love of the boys, young men. Every time you're in the life of a young man, you are building for eternity. And I want you to give Greg Wise. I've watched him. I've sat while he has been coaching. I've seen the young man. Give Greg Wise a very big hand. Very who is excited about her leadership and, of course, the outstanding work that is being done here at Jack Yates. They are scholars as well, so give Jack Yates, the students in this time of 2022, the 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, give them all a big hand, please. I know this is for the Texas, is that my councilman? Okay, you got a hat on, you hide now, Kent. There you go. All right. Give Councilmember Carolyn Evans Shabazz a very big applause. And of course, she's wearing red, but she's my line since I'll let you get to that, then you'll understand. But let me just take a moment. I'm not here to do anything but to emphasize the words that I started out with, give honor where honor is due. But I also think there's something more to this night. It is our history. And as a member of the United States Congress, I have made part of my legislative effort to frame and to highlight our history. Brandon Williams is here, and he is the nephew, was out the door, up against the wall, of Big George Floyd. And so we honor all of ours. I remember the stories of George Floyd, how he played both games, and also how he mentored others. But we have history that goes far and wide across the land. And as I said, in the United States Congress, from the Emancipation Trail that is to come from Galveston all the way to Houston, that connotes the slaves as they heard the words, "You are free," on June 19, 1865. To commemorate the federal holiday for the first time of Juneteenth, came right out of Texas. And now the nation celebrates a federal holiday of Juneteenth, understanding our history. And so it is extremely important to remember and honor those going into this Hall of Fame. Thank you for having this ceremony, to be able to celebrate those who were stellar and stars, and to give them the recognition, and then to put them in a place where students coming year after year would know that history, that is never forgotten, that the team that played today, was it El Campo?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, it was El Campo that played today, would as well be knowledgeable of their history and their greatness, and the fact that they come from lions, but they also are the descendants, many of them, of freed Africans, of those enslaved. So I wanted to come tonight to say thank you. I will take a moment and say, for those of you who voted in this last election, I'm on a thank you tour. I just want to give the simple words, whoever you voted for, thank you. Because defending democracy includes your standing up and being counted. Never give up your birthright, never give up your vote, never give up your voice, and always hold us accountable. So thank you for voting. When you vote, you impact what Jack Yates gets. You impact the excellence of his faculty, you impact the resources. You can demand what is good. And a few years back, as I conclude my remarks, this school was on the list to be closed. Some of you don't remember that. What I did do is I told them over my dead body, Jack Yates would close it. We stood ground. We stood our ground. There were about 4 schools on the list. Cashmere is still open. Sam Houston was on the list. Jack Yates. And I said, it is about what you do and invest in our students. You could not condemn them for one or two misses, you lift them up. And look at us now. Look at Jack Yates. New building, new opportunities, and young people that are soaring and going high. You need to give that an applause. Jack Yates never told, always educating our young people. So, as a school that educated my husband, Elwin C. Lee, and Jimmy Blaylock, he talks about him often. He's over there. He came to me and said that he knew my husband and began his story. I said, I know you. Friendships, no matter how separated we get. So my husband's brothers, Philip Lee, Andre Lee, now deceased, and Elwin Lee went to Jack Yates High School. It has a special place in our hearts. So I wanted to come today to be able to honor those being inducted into this Hall of Fame and ask them to come forward before they get their true honors to be recognized by the United States Congress. Would you all come? George Walker, would you come on down? Are you in the house? George Walker? George Walker? Come on down. Come on up. Oh, y'all can do better than that. I hope you can clap that. This is good history. Michael Young Sr. Michael. All right, y'all can give him a hand. I can bang on the table. They know, as they say, I know why they play ball so good. All right. All right. All right. Somebody need to tell me about that weekly Jack Yates game. I guess they always had it. And I'll just say you all always won. All right. Jimmy Blaylock, come on down. McCoy McLemore. Oldest daughter, Nicoya. Give her a hand, please. Ricky Winslow. I don't know why they didn't have me on the team. They knew I could play. Joseph. Young Republic. We want to give Ricky Whitfield. Thank you so very much. Thank you. All right, it's on my mind. Joseph Young, come on. Thank you. That is a beautiful Tina, his mother. Give her a hand, please. And Doc Evans Jr. Doc. Daughter, you coming? Son, right there. Son, no. All right. All right, that's a pleasure. All right. That's what I thought. All right, all right, all right, all right. Thank you. George Stretch Campbell. George Stretch Campbell. That's the right kind of name, Stretch. Stretch is coming. Thank you, sir. Congratulations to you. Thank you. Do we have a representative? I think we have one more. Benny Roy? Benny Roy, please come. I see. All right. Well, she's wearing pink, so she's in the right. All right. Thank you so very much. We know each other so well. Give her a very big hand. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hall of Fame, we're going to take a page.
Basketball cannot dare be told without mentioning his name. The history of a lot of these young men that were honored tonight cannot be told without mentioning his name. And that is Edward Bertram Doc Evans Jr. He was born February the 8th, 1924 in Prairie View, Texas. He was the youngest of 2 children from the Dr. and Mrs. E.B. Evans Sr. His primary and elementary work was done partially in the Prairie View Training School, which is located in Prairie View, Texas. And of course, the Ascot Avenue School in Los Angeles, California. 1940. Returned to Prairie View College to complete his college training and graduating in May of 1946. While at Prairie View, he participated in football, basketball, track, and tennis. He entered the graduate division of the Prairie View Agricultural and Mechanical College in September of 1946, where he pursued a course in physical education as a major and education as a minor, subject towards the degree of Masters of Science.
Before I start talking about my dad, I would really like to extend some help to pray for my friend, Robert Cooley Williams, who had a son who passed away this past week. And he is truly an example of what it means to be a Jack Yates Lion. He is a historian at this school, and we want to pray for him and his family during this time. Second, I want to thank God for allowing us to have the remembrance of my dad, especially this month, because it would be 32 years since my father passed on the 23rd this month. So, this is a huge honor for our family, a huge honor. Obviously, we want to thank Coach Wise. Coach Wise has taken the basketball program here to a brand new level. At one time, we were just considered statewide. He took a team, and the team is here to be recognized for the national #1 ranked school in this entire nation. That's the next person I'd like to thank is Mr. Bob Dooley. Mr. Bob Dooley has been a personal friend of mine for years, and he brought the news to us about my dad being inducted, and it's been a nervous time ever since for me, because this is a one-time affair for me. So thank you, Mr. Dooley. Thank you, Coach. Now, I want to introduce the people who love my dad in spite of basketball. Standing to my left is my sister Carolyn Evans Shabazz, Dr. Carolyn Evans Shabazz. She is currently the council person for District D. That's the district that we stand in right now. She calls it the District of Destination. And she's married to her husband Malik Shabazz. Second, my middle sister Kathy Evans Jackson. She is a tenured counselor in Galena Park ISD, and she's married to Fred Jackson, also his beautiful daughter Olivia. Okay, my baby sister Charlotte Evans Williams. She has 2 kids, and she couldn't make it tonight, but she's married to pro football player from Houston Oilers, Dr. Jamie Williams, who ended up getting a Super Bowl championship with the San Francisco 49ers. And last but not least, let's talk about my brother, the late Mark Evans. He's probably the most powerful, the most popular of all of us. He had a nickname that surpasses all of ours. They called him Baby Love, and they also called him the male third ward. And his beautiful daughter, Courtney, she couldn't make it. So, quickly, I want to congratulate all of us celebrants. I've had the pleasure of meeting the majority of them, having conversations with most of them, with mutual respect. There's some great players. The very best player, I have to say, in my opinion, that my father ever coached, no disrespect to nobody in here, was McCoy McNamara. He was, in my opinion. We talked about it. Me and Marvin Neal talked about it. I hadn't been with 3 guys that have reached the level of basketball in this state that have played meaningful minutes on an NBA championship team. McCoy McNamara was one of them. Greg Kite from Madison got 2 with the Larry Bird team, and also great Clyde Drexler. So to go in with an honor like that is incredible. So let me tell you a little bit about 5 components I think of being a successful coach. Why my father was successful. My father was successful because he flat loved the coach. That's what he loved to do. That was his passion. A lot of great coaches in the school. And he really, really, really loved his players. He really loved, another thing he really loved was he loved coaching kids. There's a word that goes on. Wait a minute, I didn't introduce my own wife. I better shut up. I'm the third, you know, and I have my family here in the corner. Y'all raise your hand. Yeah. Woo, man. I'm almost bad as you. And this is my beautiful wife, Arnell, who's also a member of the school, came to the school. Woo! My dad, the story goes that my father coached at E.O. Smith, and he went years at E.O. Smith, not losing the game. That rich talent pool at E.O. Smith, and he had to schedule high school sometimes to play, and he beat some of them too. And he was blessed incredibly in 1957 when he got the word to come to this school. When he came here, he was fortunate, very, very fortunate, to be able to coach along the side of probably the greatest coach that I've ever seen or heard. It's Coach Andrew Pat Patterson. Coach Patterson won a state championship in baseball, football, track, and basketball. That is unheard of in this day's world. He was just that impactful. He is also the guy that was probably the most responsible for the traditions that go on in this school. He was the one that made everybody in the state respect Jack Yates Senior High School, in my opinion. Because his ability to coach in a no-nonsense manner was unheard of and definitely respected. Now, that was the why my dad. The how my dad was a good coach is because he was very academic. He studied the game. It says that he went to UCLA and learned from the great John Wooden. Everything John Wooden did on the court, we did. Every press, every offense, every defense, that's what we used. John Wooden, for those of y'all who don't know, has won more championships in college basketball than anybody in the history of the game of basketball. So, that's where he learned from. Conditioning. Now, I hate to talk about this. See, we didn't have AAU basketball, so we had to pick up games at Emancipation Park, YMCA. Even if you're courageous enough to go out there and try to tell me a hard on the floor at Greg Park. But we had a little secret place where we would go to a University of Houston gym. And we got a chance to watch some of the greatest high school college basketball players ever, Delvin Hayes. They would be on one side and we would be on the other side. I even got a chance to see Pistol Pete Barry. Remember that, Jim? Conditioning. Before you ever touch the basketball, we would come over, he'd call you, we play, we do all that summer stuff, and then around the late September, early October, to come over the PA system and say, anybody that wants to play basketball, show up at the gym. And we'd show up, and for 2 solid weeks, we would run around McGregor Park, all the way back up the sky, all the way back to school. That's 5.5 miles for 2 solid weeks and never touch a basketball. After the first week, about 75 of them would drop off. And little did we know it, at the end of the second week, he would have basically his starting his varsity and his B team. And that's the way the Yates team was started back then. If you had, and he would always say, only the pure heart will survive. Y'all remember that? Man, I think that's today. I don't want to run nothing, no more. Since I left here. You had to be a smart player, you know? In order to play, you had to be able to react on it and be able to run in the fourth quarter. Now, any good coach, and I'm sure Coach Wise will attest to this, any good coach would have to have good people around him. My father was very, very, very fortunate to have one of the greatest young basketball minds in this area, and that's Coach Freddie Morrow. Coach Morrow was a guy that was an All-American, was a Hall of Famer at Texas Southern, and could teach us the finer parts of how to really play the game. Coach Morrow was amazing. I wish he was able to make it, but I asked him, could he still shoot the jump shot? He said, he didn't want to curse. The next person would be the late Maurice McGowan. He came shortly after Coach Morrow left, and he had a real valuable piece. I'm sure most of y'all remember Coach McGowan. My father believed in the whole person playing basketball. One of the guys that he depended on and trusted the most when he first started was here tonight. He has an award named after him. His name is John Hart. His name is sitting right here. One of my dad's favorite people, you know, and they went through a whole lot together. And last but not least, on the play side, the guy with us was Andrew Sapp, the late Andrew Sapp. I think Sally stayed in high school until he was 25 years old. Yeah, they had to give him a job, man. Sally didn't want to leave. So let me quickly try to tell you about, my wife gets on me all the time about this. But let me give you my father's inspiration. So you young kids in the back, players in the back, please pay attention to this. My dad's inspiration was his father, Dr. E.B. Evans, Sr. Let me give you a little bit of history on him. He was the very first black veterinarian in this state. He was one of the founders of what's called now the SWAC conference. That's the conference at Jackson State where you got Deion Sanders and those guys coaching right now. He was one of the founders of that school, and the reason why he had to do that is because black schools weren't getting the subsidy from these colleges, and black players had to come in, and when they came in, athletics is extremely big business. So when he started getting some of those players, sooner or later, the larger white colleges had to come into those areas that I'm talking about: the Prairie, the TSU, the Grambling, the Southern, the Jackson State, the Alcorn State. These were the schools that they started. He was also fortunate enough to be able to start the PBIL with Coach Patterson. They separated into districts, and that's the reason why we had competition going to Prairie, because they secretly, a movie told me this the other day, they really wanted to start Prairie to be able to establish domination in athletics and all other kinds of, like, dramatics, different, anything academic, okay? The last thing, he was the first president of Prairie. He was made president there in 1948. And it's something that's almost embarrassing to me, because he was a man. And he was just like that. He was that good. So I want to make some final thank yous and ask if anybody from 1957 to the time my dad stopped coaching as basketball and tennis, if any of you guys here, would you please stand? Outstanding athlete. I didn't mention my dad being a tennis coach here. He had a better winning percentage in tennis than he had in basketball. Any of those who are affected by my dad, maybe he taught them or was in the neighborhood or something, or friends of ours that came out, would you please stand? Terrible weather that came out, and we know that we want to honor your sacrifice. The last one might be a little bit difficult. It's not easy. Coach can attest to this. It's not easy being good. It's a lot of things that you have to deal with being a basketball coach. I know Coach Wise can attest to this, that it's not easy to be a basketball coach in this city. There is an incredible amount of pressure to coach basketball, or any sport at this school. Because I believe that this school is probably the greatest high school in the state's history. My dad went to, my dad had a hearing disability. And I can honestly say, as I stand here, that he probably never heard my voice my entire life. his entire life. And the real reason why my father was a success is because he had a Hall of Fame wife. That was my mother. My mother made sure that we stayed together. She made sure that the distractions of the world, my dad could concentrate on basketball. You know, it's a different thing when you have to face this world in society. My mother managed the business of our house. She made sure that each one of us, the ones that I introduced, were the ones that we could survive. She kept a hot plate for us to eat every day, even while maintaining a job herself. 35 years in Houston Independent School District as the first and second grade teacher. There is no way. She was the one that had to deal with the 109 losses. My dad did not like to lose. We, as the ones that played for him, we realized, hey, man, the day after we lost the game, things wasn't right. So, but from a family perspective, my mother was the one that kept us all together. She made sure that we stick together. So, last but not least, you know, I take a lot of things for granted sometimes. I can't sometimes even fathom how it would be this successful in a field like basketball and you can't eat. So that meant he did have great players to execute what he needed to execute. My father couldn't answer the phone. My mother had to answer the phone for him. Think about that. We live in a world where silence is your primary motive survival. She did that for him. She answered his phone call. And she completed our life. So, that being said, I want to thank every family would like to accept the nomination for the first annual basketball Jack Yates Hall of Fame. It would be Dr. Evans Jr. And for that, we are really, really grateful. Thank you.
Good job, Bert. Proud of you, Bert.